Hello and welcome. We're all consumers of food, and food retail can be anywhere between $800 billion to $1 trillion market very soon. But the big question is, can we understand our consumers better? Can we deliver to them products that are different? And what is our understanding going to, how is our understanding going to shape up, and will technology play a role in that? Who better to put that question to than Varun, CEO of Britannia, the leading food products company. Thank you so much for joining us, Varun.
Thank you. Thanks.
Right. So before I come to the technology part, tell us about what's the consumer landscape looking like to you today in the context of the products that you're or food products that you're delivering.
So the consumer landscape's changing very rapidly. So what's happening really is that with the new generation coming in, with the young consumers in there, they're very flirtatious. They want to try different products. So the repertoires are expanding rapidly. So every category, the repertoire used to be 1 or 2 brands. Now it's suddenly gone to 7 to 10 brands, different products, etc. So they're looking for choice, and hence it's very important for companies like us to make sure that we create innovation, create new products all the time, understand consumers, and provide them with something that they're dreaming of but haven't got yet in the marketplace.
So what would be a good example from recent past?
So from the recent past, the example is a product that we recently launched, which is called Pure Magic Dews. So this is a cross between a biscuit and a chocolate. So it's a biscuit which has got a chocolate slapped on top of it. And it's a product which is available in other countries, but for some strange reason it wasn't brought into this country, and it requires very different technology. It requires a chocolate technology which is very different from what a biscuit technology is. So we decided to take the plunge and said that let's take the risk of investing in that technology and seeing how this can move forward in the country, and it's done it remarkably well. So things like that. So we do a lot of listening, we do a lot of research, we do a lot of insights, we do usage and attitude studies. Basis that, we cull out what we think we should be moving forward with.
Right, and I'll come back to the studies and the insights in a moment. But when you said people are spoiled for choice, and you said that there are 6 or 7 products that you could potentially consume in one category. So is that demand a reflection of other things that are happening, our digital lives, our multiple choices, our quick maybe, our need to sort of get very quick consummation? What's driving it?
No, it's absolutely true. Because in our times we used to read the newspaper and we used to feel happy that we know what's happening in the entire world. Today's consumer is not like us, right? Today's consumer wants to go deep rather than wide. We were wide. We knew what's happening in Russia, we knew what's happening in the US and India, etc. They want to go deep. If they like something, they go deep and they understand it in detail. So, and obviously the choices that they have to go deep are very, very wide. And that's what's creating this thing about knowing more, understanding more, trying more, having different types of products in their repertoire, etc., etc. So it is a situational thing which we are facing, and it's only going to become even more from here.
Right, and the insights and the data that you spoke of, are you able to now extract that faster from the system than before, and what are you doing in that space?
Yes, absolutely. So there are lots of conversations that keep happening in the digital world. So that listening is very important, but the trick really is to make sure that you don't differentiate the conversation from the noise,
or the signal from the noise.
Yes, absolutely. So you've got to distill what you hear and make sure that you take the right decisions, and that is an art in itself. But so, yes, we are getting a lot more information.
So what would be an example of a signal that could have been misread and versus one that could have been read more accurately?
So I think the signal that probably was misread, so if you look at the Indian consumer is aspiring for sure, but aspiring with pragmatism, right? So if you only hear one part of the story, which is the aspirational part of the story, and do not ground it into the pragmatism, then you could go wrong, right? So when you hear conversations, they're looking for delightful products, if we could have a triple chocolate cookie, etc., etc. And then if you throw caution to the wind, what is the pragmatic part of it? The pragmatic part of it is at the right price, right? So I want all that, but at the right price. So we've gone wrong in the past, where we made the world's best cookie, which was triple chocolate, etc., but it was at a certain price. And it was such a small launch that it didn't give us anything, you know. So what we've learned is that we have to make sure that the value consciousness of the Indian consumer is always married to the aspirational part of the Indian consumer. So democratization is the strategy that we follow. We have to take the best products and then try to bring them to a price level that works for the consumer. So it's got to be far enough to be exciting, but it has to be close enough for me to go and buy it, right, from a price standpoint. And that's the example that I have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of distribution and logistics, I mean, again, where technology plays a role, have you seen changes in the way technology is able to drive more efficient distribution, an understanding of how products are moving at a more micro level? And essentially, I'm trying to understand, again, the role of technology to the extent that there is in this.
No, absolutely. So what's happening really today, if you think about it, one is e-commerce is growing very rapidly, but it's still only 1% of our total business. It will keep growing. It'll probably get to 5%, maybe 10% one day. But essentially the base business is still going to be conventional. But that doesn't mean that technology doesn't play a role in the conventional business, right? So if you look at the role that technology plays in our business, one is about resource optimization, and the second is about profit optimization, right? So the resource optimization part is where you look at, you know, the repetitive part of the jobs that people do, and you try and see how you can automate them, and that's where technology comes in, right? These are very, very repetitive roles that are played, so you automate them, you bring in artificial intelligence, and you take that burden off the human beings and, you know, deploy them in the right place. The second part is the profit optimization, whereby, you know, you've got to look at data and you've got to see how you optimize the revenue, you increase the revenues, and how you reduce the costs. There again, technology plays a huge role, right? So just to give you an example on sales, we are developing the technology whereby there is a salesman's buddy, which is his handheld, which takes him through the process of the call and tells him that, you know, you haven't sold a certain SKU to this outlet because this outlet is the kind of outlet which will buy this new product, right? So this is his guide, his buddy, who's going to guide the salesman through this role. So there's a huge
But there's a very powerful database on the back end which is being mined.
Absolutely, absolutely. So those are the two roles that technology plays for us in our distribution, in our supply chain, etc. And there are many, many examples that I can talk about, but very interesting times.
Right. And as you look ahead, what are the one or two areas where you're likely to or will launch something new, whether it's in the traditional baking products or dairy products? I mean, what's your focus for the next year or so?
So we are in a heightened phase of innovation. This year is going to be a breakthrough year from an innovation standpoint. So within the categories that we operate in, we've invested in technologies which can give us very, very different and very, very differentiated products from whatever is available in the market. And second is we are looking at entering new categories as well, categories that we are not present in. So it's going to be an inflection point in the history of Britannia.
And when you say new categories, outside of food or bordering food?
No, well, within foods, but not in the core biscuit space. So adjacent categories, macro snacking. No, we are not looking at power or getting out of the food category. The food category is large enough for us to keep growing our business aggressively.
Right. And just to close, I mean, the one insight that you carry always with you in terms of which helps you in some ways decide what to go ahead with and not.
So basically, I think one I've already spoken about.
We talked about the consumer who is pragmatic and yet desirous of new things.
Yeah. So it's about the product certainly being far enough for the consumer to get excited, but close enough for the consumer to buy it. Second is, it should be a part of the daily ritual of a consumer. You can't make a product completely out of bounds as far as the consumer's rituals are concerned. And third is, the price has to be affordable.
Right, and that's a good note to end on. Varun, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.